Welcome to The Writer's Dream. This is a show where authors can talk about how they write their books, how they publish their books, and how they market their books. We're on YouTube, and we are also on Facebook. Just search for The Writer's Dream, or my name, Linda Maria Frank. We would love to have your questions. If you have questions, please put them on the Facebook page. I'm Linda Maria Frank. I'm the author of Annie Tillery Mystery Series, and my guest today is Gene McParland, who is a poet, actor, and author. He is the author of Baby Boomer Ramblings. Welcome.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. So tell us about your book.
Okay, Baby Boomer Ramblings is a collection of concepts, vignettes of life, surrounded and ending with poetry. So it's poetry with verse, and the purpose is, I just don't put a poem out there. I write about why and how it relates to something in life. Baby Boomer Ramblings, although I do touch on deep issues, it's more about life. Life is, and how to enjoy it, how to live it. You know, all too often we can, after watching the news, forget about it. You're so depressed. So I decided so many years ago that, being an adult is really overrated. So I'm getting back to being the wonders of childhood. So Baby Boomer Ramblings, like the cover somewhat suggests, is, okay, the body may be a little old, but the spirit isn't. I look at life with childlike wonderment. I try to see everything, the glass is half full rather than half empty and dirty. And, things happen, that's life. But get out there, enjoy it. Always look for the wonder in life. Look where the pathways, take the pathway less traveled. Go off, walk around the stream, walk down the stream, go to the beach, look for beach glass, watch life. Don't watch TV.
Can I read what it says on Amazon about your book?
Great.
Okay, it says, what a gift life is. It comes ready to open every morning. Each day is totally unique. Each day can be a new adventure. It can be a source of joy or of sorrow. It all depends on how we approach it. The secret of joyful living is learning to look at life through the eyes of a small child. As a bona fide baby boomer, I have lived a life filled with many joys and some regrets. Today, I choose to live life in joy and with a sense of childlike wonderment. This book is a reflection on how to recapture the sense of wonder and joy we were born with. This book is a collection of thoughts, ramblings, and experiences about our special gift of life. Baby Boomer Ramblings offer my thoughts, observations, and suggestions on living life in a more positive and happier way. All of this wrapped around a poem, or more correctly, a poem wrapped around life's gifts. So why did you choose Baby Boomer Ramblings? What's the connection to baby boomers?
I'm obviously a baby boomer.
Okay.
And, we were like the biggest force in the 20th century. Mm-hmm. And we were part of the wave going through after World War II. We went to school together. We went to high school together. We did the 60s together. We changed society. We brought in the computer age. Mm-hmm. We got up. We went and changed the channels by ourselves, things like that. And I started seeing that a lot of people I knew, those who were still around, because you started losing some of
Yes, I know.
that they just stopped living. Mm-hmm. They got to the point that life became something to be feared rather than to be enjoyed. And I could see how you could do that, and I could do it too. I could just wonder, how am I going to pay the bills? How am I going to get sick? What happens if I get sick? But I decided that's really not the way to live a life.
Do you notice that when you meet with a group of your friends, it takes 10 or 15 minutes for them all to get through their pills, their operations, their latest doctor's appointments? And I think to myself, we're all doing that. So unless you need my help to drive you to the doctor, could we get on with another conversation?
Yeah, well, people always used to ask me, gee, I work for every major corporation that no longer exists. So
And did
I
you
ended up with no pension.
Did you do them in?
I think so. I gave people a list one time of major corporations that were going to be around for the next 200 years, and they're all gone. So that shows you what life really has to hold for you. And people say, well, what do you do about medical? I have a good answer. I don't get sick. What am I going to do? I can sit there and worry about it all the time. I was in a major car accident last year, and if I was 6 inches this way or 6 inches that way, I'd be dead or you know, in a wheelchair or something. You know, so I get through it. 6 months after that, my house caught on fire, and I was living in a trailer. And I'm still getting over that. I got all these boxes, but I'm back in the house. Now, I could complain about it. And believe me, I have now and then, but
But the house has a new paint job.
that's right. Wow, they did a good job. I always wanted to do that. Now it's done. But this, maybe not the way I originally wanted it to have it to come about, but you know, that's the way it is. So I want to enjoy life. There is no job too big or too important that can't be walked away from for a time. Get in the car if it's a beautiful day, go to the beach.
I do that all the time.
We live on
especially when
Long
I'm-
Island.
Yeah.
And if you don't go to the beach while living on Long Island, why are you here? You're paying $1 zillion in taxes. You have the worst roads that don't go anywhere. We got
They
politicians.
go to the water.
Some of them do. So over there, you know, I have jars and jars of beach glass. You know, that's something it's like my little thing, you know. Instead of going for the shells, I go for the beach glass. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I keep collecting it, and I enjoy it. It's like a little contest. It gives me a purpose for walking along the beach.
Well, to me, that's like a form of meditation.
Yes.
You're walking along the beach and looking, searching in that little area where the surf breaks for different things. Because I collect beach glass too. I don't get to do it as much as I'd like to, but you can't think about anything else while you're doing that.
And also, you know, if your mind is open and you're just hearing the sounds of the surf and the birds, thoughts, concepts, a line for a poem will come to you. So have a piece of paper too and a pen.
Absolutely.
Don't go anyplace without your pen and paper.
So you've really interesting background. You've been an actor, or you are an actor, you are a poet, and you are a writer. How did you get into acting?
Okay, I grew up petrified of everything and everybody, you know, with the 12
Did you go to
years
Catholic
of the Catholic education back in the heyday when it wasn't, you know, I still got my knuckles from being rapped, but probably I deserved it or not, but who knows. But I would be petrified, like the greatest fear is giving a speech.
Me too.
So one day, when I was really down in the dumps, life had been washing over me and drowning me, and I felt depressed, and I was deep into the woes me. I picked up the penny saver, and I saw there was a little notice, you know, for auditions. So I said, I always wanted to do this, but I never did. So I picked up the phone, I called, and it was that night. So I went. I don't know why, and they, you know, they give you all these lines, and they start acting, this is it, here's your scene, blah, 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 and I did everything. Thank you, we'll get back to you, and I didn't get the part. But 3 or 4 weeks later, I get a call. Was I still interested in it? And I said, sure, but I thought you picked someone else. Well, that person couldn't do it for some reason, and they said, we always wanted you anyway. But we didn't want to give you the part because you had no
Experience.
experience, and it was the lead. And it was called A House Divided. And it was about a man and woman, husband and wife, who couldn't get along together, but they could, on the phone, they were always very civil to each other. So they would only have a conversation talking on the phone. The stage was split in half. I would be in the study, and she was in the kitchen. And I said, this isn't acting. This is my life. So I did the role, and I had a blast. And one thing about theater is you have to remember all the lines. So, I was like, it was every page I had a scene. So that was like, I started off big and I've worked my way down a little bit. So that was maybe 17, 18 years ago. And I just started, I did one, then I did another, then I did another, then I did another.
Now, these were stage productions?
Oh, yeah, this is the
Okay.
theaters. They're mostly local community, original theater, and,
That stuff's really good, though.
yeah, comedy, drama,
We have some great local theater on Long Island.
yes. we
Well, this
did.
is Long Island. We have some great, almost everything here.
And then eventually I got into some films, looked on Craigslist, they have, gigs wanted, and not for the topless dancers, of course, but for the acting. So I got involved with a couple of acting scenes. Occasionally I get the talking role, and then I started doing, with the cameras being so much cheaper these days, anyone can basically make their own art film.
Yes, yes.
So I started getting all sorts of offers for, could you be the psychiatrist? Could you be the bum? Could you be the alcoholic father? Could you be this? Could you be that? Sure, whatever you want. I'll do it.
Just pay me, I'll do it.
I don't get paid too much.
Aw.
That's why I said, well, I should say I do acting. Actors get paid. I do community theater and acting, and although I probably have enough credits to get the SAG and all that other, I never really jumped into it and followed it, because you really have to put a lot of time and effort into it.
Yeah.
I enjoy it, and when it becomes unenjoyable, then
Then you won't do it
I
anymore.
won't do it anymore.
I'm curious, what did you do professionally when you worked for these corporations?
Okay, I have like 4 degrees: history, master's, MBA, and APC financial accounting, and I worked in most of these companies in the capacity of materials management, inventory management, purchasing director, and along that line. So I dealt with the world. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
one time or another, one company or another, there's probably not one country I haven't had some kind of dealings with, maybe Antarctica or something like that. But so
it's broad experiences, but not
Yeah.
artistic.
And, I was also an officer in the Air Force, and that's what got me into it. I was a procurement officer. So I used to, that got me into contracting. So that was kind of like the segue into getting all these offers. So I worked for downtown most of my life. One Broadway,
The street,
United States Lines. I worked at Irving Trust, One Wall Street.
yeah, the street.
And, companies like that, they're all gone. And eventually I came out to Long Island. I worked at Telephonics. That's still around. But
Yeah.
the division I was in went out. I worked for Fairchild. That's a mall. I worked for AIL. That's a mall.
Wow.
They're all gone. And it was always right before I was going to be vested. So I ended up, I got no vesting. I have Social Security, of course, but I don't worry about it. I mean, I do a little selling, et cetera, on eBay and other of these sites. And, I don't have rich taste.
When did you discover your talent as a poet?
I guess I always had somewhat of a talent for poetry. I used to scribble lines when I would be taking the Long Island Railroad in the morning, and I never really did much with it. I didn't really start trying to I don't want to say sell it, but submit it
Publish
to
it, yeah. Get it out there.
about 25, 30 years ago. And I liked it because poetry is it's like you're singing to yourself. It's a song, it's a dance, it's a painting with words. You can do what you want with it. You don't have to follow the rules, I before E. Yes and no. If you want to, you do. If you don't, you don't. And, there's so many different types of poetry out there. I tended to follow what I found easy to do and gave me joy, and it just like flows.
Well, I have a theory, because when I was researching you, I found you on Wild Geese, which is an Irish organization, and I have this theory that Irish people have the lyrical gene.
Yes, they do.
Because many of the Irish people I know are very lyrical. They can either sing or dance or write or act. I find that very interesting. Would you like to read from your book?
Sure. This is one I read not too long ago.
Do you need my glasses?
No. Shows you what, you got to do things on life's term. My glasses just broke.
Well, you can borrow mine.
No,
They're not prescriptive.
I
Okay.
can see.
All right. Okay, go ahead.
No. Oh, no, I can read, I can't. Does magic still exist?
I love that.
I know that we are not alone. I know that we are never alone. This is regardless if there is life on other planets as we know it or not. The universe itself is alive, an organism with a soul. Other worlds, dimensions, wormholes, whatever you choose to call them, surround us. Fairies, little people, sprites are among us. Maybe on a different dimensional, vibrational level, but they are here. Most of us are too desensitized to feel their presence, which is fine with them since they aren't too crazy about most of us. To feel the presence of magic, one must still the ego mind and open the senses. To discover many of the wonders of our world, one must slow down, stop, quiet the chatter of the mind, and just listen. Then just observe. Don't judge, don't deny, don't question. Just listen and be open. It is at such times that the secret treasures of life become observable. You will then be able to see the magic that surrounds us. In such a state, the senses become acutely attuned to their surroundings. It is then that you will begin to notice the traces and glimpses of the little folk. Feel the air being moved by fairy wings. See and feel the magic. Our world needs magic. It needs to believe in mythical creatures. Poets were once the storytellers of this magic, spreading the tales once told by firelight long before the age of cable TV and satellite. You can still listen to these tales, though. However, you must quiet your inner self. Your heart and spirit needs to be open, ready for the quiet voice of the poet to begin an epic tale. It can happen. The magic is still here. And I wrote this poem. Where mermaids still sing. Teach me, dear child. Teach me how to listen to the mermaid song. Where to find fairy charms. Pick one special star. How to sculpture clouds into magical shapes. My mind was boundless at one time, but life and the rules, the need to do the right thing, to keep one's feet firmly planted in the day, slowly builds walls and reduce my world to one of tunnel vision, time schedules, and imposed goals. Like you, dear child, I used to play with invisible friends. None have come to me in a long, long while. Would you share your friends with me? There are worlds I have not seen, yet they exist right in front of me. World of birds, flowers, and creepy crawly things, elves on butterflies and flashes of dragon wings. So easy to see through a child's open eyes. Mine have become so clouded. Please, dear child, will you take me to where the mermaids still sing?
Yeah.
That's in my book.
I love that one. I have found what's a really great line for you to use for marketing. I loved what you said when you said writing poetry is like singing to yourself.
Yes.
That's a great line. That you should use that. It's a great marketing line.
I do have a Facebook page, Baby Boomer Ramblings.
Good.
And
I was just going to ask you that. Where can we find your poems?
and I also have a blog called Baby
Baby
Boomer
Boomer
Ramblings. And many of the...
I love consistency.
selections that are in my book came from some of these blogs. Of course, I kind of got away from it for a while because of the accident and the house fire, but I'm getting back into it now, you know. And, we got past those hiccups and life is going on. The weather is beautiful. We survived the winter of of 99 here. I can always think of my father talking about, I wore 26 blocks in the winter of 47 when...
That was quite a winter.
that
I
was
remember that one.
28 inches of snow fell.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I said, I'm doing these things.
Yeah, exactly. So I'd like to read a review of your book.
Read the good ones.
Oh, yeah. Well, then, yeah, okay. Read this book and discover how to have contentment and laughter, become a childlike poet of life, and be forever young. Baby Boomer Ramblings, June 9th, 2014, a well-written series of humorous stories. Who among us could fail to identify with the poetic flow that comes through loud and clear, whether it be the simple piece of advice, keep it simple, stupid, or the eternal question, does magic still exist? Mr. McParland skillfully brings his audience on a journey of realization. The sadness of the nightmare that happened on 9/11/01 does not escape his sharp focus either. All in all, his book is a gem and deserves to be read by a wide audience. A true Shawnee. Continuing the bardic tradition of painting scenes with words. Mr. McParland's writing touches all six senses, truly a gifted storyteller. Uplifting words of wisdom from a baby boomer.
Yeah. A Shawnee is, to be like a tale teller. One who comes into the fires and be giving you the story about life. Back in the old days, back in the wee people.
Well, you know, I talk to a lot of writers and think about my own writing, and I think to myself, you have to be a storyteller. I did a workshop with another author on how to self-publish, and people have, you know, packets of letters from grandma, and they want to make a book out of it, and I say, you have to have a story. If you have a story, you can write a book. Or you can write a poem. What's the difference between you telling a story in prose and poetry? Because a lot of poetry that I listen today is like listening just to like a prose story. What's the difference?
I always say, you know,